Hello, my name is Aisyatul and I will start my presentation on the introduction of the Highland Tower collapse. The tragedy of the Highland Tower occurs in Ulu Kelang, Selangor. It happened on Saturday noon, 12 December 1993, with the number of fatalities around 48 deaths. Brief facts about Highland Towers. It consists of 3 similar blocks of 12-story high apartments named Block 1, Block 2 and Block 3, built in phases between 1974 to 1982. The buildings were once a notorious spot for wealthy people as it became home for affluent middle-class families and also expatriates. The collapse involved Block 1 of Highland Tower due to the major landslide and led to the complete evacuation of the remaining blocks due to safety concern. So for the discussion on the topic, I will talk about the events that lead to the collapse and also the chronology itself. Directly behind the 3 blocks, especially Block 1, there was a steep slope. So after 2 weeks of continuous raining, the water seeped through the cracks in the soil. A stream originating upslope from the Metrolux land flowed across path of the slope. So the chronology of the events of the Highland Tower collapse. It started on November 1993, where the water began to flow down the slopes of the hill due to the flooding that caused by the ruptured pipes. The resident discovered a significant crack on the road that was located close to the unit. On the road that led to the towers, cracks started to appear and quickly spread out. And the collapse happened on Block 1 of the Highland Towers on 11 December 1993, where the center towers of Block 1 of Highland Tower collapsed, killing 48 people and leaving 1 tower in a severely damaged state. The rescue efforts began immediately and continued for 12 days from 11th to 22nd of December 1993, with emergency services and volunteers working to locate and save the survivors trapped under the rubble. Despite of the heroic efforts of the rescuers, most of the occupants in the collapsed tower were killed, with only 1 survivor being rescued after more than 72 hours under the rubble.
Hi, my name is Idzhar and I would like to present about the technical reasons of the Highland Tower collapse. So the first technical reason is the superstructure and also materials, where one of the main material defects in the building was the use of the low quality concrete. The concrete used in the building's construction was a low strength and a high water cement ratio, which made it more susceptible to cracking and also corrosion. This weakened the building structure, making it more vulnerable to collapse during external factors such as heavy rainfall and also seismic activity. The second technical reason is the soil erosion, where the soil beneath the tower had been weakened by water seepage and also erosion caused by heavy rainfall. Over time, the ground had shifted and the foundation of the tower had weakened, leading to its collapse. The heavy rainfall had washed away the soil and weakened the foundation, making it unable to support the weight of the building. The third technical reason is the lack of maintenance, where the building had not been adequately maintained and repairs had been neglected for a long time. One of the major maintenance issues with the building was water leakage. The roof and walls of the building had multiple leaks, which allowed water to seep in and cause damage. The water leakage had caused significant damage to the structure of the building, including weakening of the foundation and supporting columns. Also, there are other maintenance issues such as faulty electrical wiring and also malfunctioning lifts. Last but not least, it is because to the inconsistency of the regulation between Land Conservation Act and also Environmental Quality Act 1974, where the Land Conservation Act was introduced in 1960 in order to regulate land use and prevent soil erosion and degradation. However, the Act was not adequately enforced and the lack of enforcement led to uncontrolled development on hill slopes and other vulnerable areas. On the other hand, the Environmental Quality Act 1974 aimed to protect and enhance the quality of the environment by regulating pollution and waste management. However, this act did not adequately address issues related to the land use and development. So that's all for me. Now we move on to the ethical reasons. Thank you.
Next is the ethical reasons on why the Highland Tower tragedy happened. Well, first one is utilitarianism, which all developer basically prioritizing on the development of utility only. And in this case, all infrastructure is rapidly developed and neglect the development of drainage system. Consequently, Block 1 collapsed due to soil slippage. Next is the ethical misconduct that led to this incident was developer and technical team negligence. Due to lack coordination between both parties, the potential hazard like landslide failed to be monitored throughout the project. This can be seen through the action of MDG has proceeded earthwork without any clearance from local authority. These flows can also be seen through the negligence of technical team in handling enough supporting documentation like certificate of fitness. Last but not least, the improper practices of engineers in construction phase. For example, Mr. Wong Tin Sang did not have any experience relating to architecture. Next, he had exceeded his boundaries in submitting any recommendation to the developer in handling the drainage line work in Highland Tower. Therefore, he have no qualification to deliver his performance as engineer in the construction of Highland Tower. Moving on to the next page.
Prevention is better than cure. The tragedy of Highland Tower had both technical and ethical reasons that contributed to the failure of the project. Hence, it is recommended to apply the proper recommendations before starting a similar project such as the Highland Tower. Firstly, we must have competent planning and supervision. Generally, the hazard from landslides can be reduced by avoiding construction on steep slopes and existing landslides by performing hazard analysis. There is also the option to stabilize the slopes that happens when the groundwater is prevented from rising in the landslide mass. As for the supervision of project, local authorities must act in reviewing and the practices done during building of a project so that it complies with the control laws. Next, the project must have proper maintenance and drainage systems. The project must be certified by a registered reviewer and must be formulated by the Board of Engineers (BEM). The slopes and the retaining structure of the Highland Tower should have been regularly inspected to identify early signs of landslide hazards, including erosion, cracking, instability of the structure building. Drainage systems should be designed and maintained to ensure the water diverted away from slopes and retaining structures to prevent saturation and instability. Lastly, with the help of public awareness and participation, it is possible to prevent landslides from occurring. Reporting potential hazards can help the authorities take preventive measures such as conducting geotechnical investigations, building retaining walls, and installing drainage systems. Proper waste disposal practice will also be promoted through education and awareness campaigns, so the authorities could enforce regulations on waste disposal. Vegetation management also helps prevent landslides as they can help stabilize the soil and prevent landslides. That will be all for recommendation. Thank you.
In conclusion, the Highland Tower collapse was a tragic event that occurred in Malaysia in 1993, resulting in the loss of 48 lives. The accidents of Highland Tower collapse has been thoroughly examined, where it is caused by a combination of factors such as poor maintenance, construction defects, inconsistency of regulations, and also environmental factors such as soil erosion. Based on that, several recommendations has been discussed in which a competent planning and supervision should be done by conducting regular inspections, implement safety measures, and also conduct regular maintenance. This incident highlighted the importance of proper building maintenance and construction standards, as well as the need for effective disaster management and emergency response procedures. Ultimately, the lessons learned from this event have contributed to improving building safety and disaster preparedness efforts in Malaysia and also around the world. So that's all for our group. Thank you.